Alright, so Mr. MinistryMan has a new video out. Let's take a look.
Apparently I'm being accused of using the fallacy that this video is titled with. Now I'm going to show you the clip that's being accused of this.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to assume that everyone watching this video is roughly familiar with what an argument ad populum is, or that they can look it up. So if no one minds, I'm going to skip his reading of the definition of argument ad populum and move on.
Now real quick before I show you the clip, I'd like to challenge you to find one single phrase within this clip that implies that I'm saying, because everybody believes like this, it's true. Okay, here's the clip. If there were 15,000 people in front of me all saying, "There's a unicorn behind you, there's a unicorn behind you," I would have to start entertaining the idea that maybe, just maybe, it's my perception that's wrong. Although I don't see the unicorn behind me, there might be something wrong with my evidence or my perception of what the unicorn is.
Okay, so as he admits in this video he just made, that wasn't the best analogy to convey his point, but that wasn't the clip that I was referring to when I said he was using argument ad populum. This is the clip I was talking about.
I mean, if I just said, I don't believe in air, I don't believe in air, that would be a very hard belief to hold to, because my belief would be flying in the face of what pretty much everybody else believes. So although generally the burden of proof does not fall on the non-believer, a hefty burden of proof does fall on the minority.
Sorry, but that really does sound like an argument ad populum. And my response to this clip was... Anyway, apparently the point he was trying to make was that
with overwhelming opposition to your position, you might want to reevaluate. You might want to make sure that you're right.
And so he gives us another, hopefully better, analogy.
Now here's another example that goes right along with what I said before, but it might be a little closer to home. Now hopefully, especially if you're in the United States, you've taken an English class in your life. And if you have, I'm sure you've had to do a research paper, a book report, a critique, something along those lines. And of course we've all had to do what's called peer editing, where we take our paper to friends, families, whoever, so that they might look over that paper and try to catch some of the mistakes that we might have missed. Now let's say I'm going through that process and I hand my paper to a friend and he looks throughout my entire paper and he finds one sentence that he just says, "You know what, you might want to take a look at this, you might be able to say it better." Well, that's only one person that's felt that way, so I might dismiss it. But then later I hand it to another friend who points to the exact same sentence and says the exact same thing. And then I hand it to another friend who points to that sentence and says, "Dude, you might want to change that, you could probably say it better." Now say you've handed that paper to 10 different friends now, all of whom have pointed to the exact same sentence and said, "Look, you might be able to say that better." You're a fool if you don't start thinking that, hey, maybe I might want to change that sentence. Whereas on the advising of maybe one or two people, you might have just left it the way it was.
Now this analogy doesn't work because language and the rules and subtleties thereof are derived from popular opinion. If everyone starts calling pens frindles, eventually the dictionaries will say pen, see frindle, or they may even remove the word pen entirely. So when a bunch of people tell you to reword your paper, yes, it's just their opinions. But it's people's opinions through popular consensus that determines what a language is and what it should be like, what is an awkward sentence and what isn't. Like if your friend comes up to you and says, "Hey look, this word has a bad connotation, use a different one," you can say, "Well, no," but then you go around and ask a bunch of people, say, "Hey, does this have a bad connotation?" If they all say, "Yeah, this is what Hitler used to describe so-and-so, reminds me of Nazis," then that word does have a bad connotation, because that's how language works. The nature of reality, however, is not based on popular consensus. So saying that a bunch of people believe X about the world, therefore you should be motivated to reevaluate your position, is not a valid proposal, nor does it compare to rewriting an essay.
So guys, this is not argumentum ad populum. Just because those 10 people said you were wrong doesn't mean you're wrong.
Well, as I just got through saying, in the context of an English paper where the language is based on popular opinion, then that does mean you are wrong if everyone else disagrees with you. Or just in the more localized context of a classroom, if most people or a lot of people say that this wording is wrong, then chances are it is wrong because language is based on popular opinion.
Maybe you end up deciding that that sentence is perfect just the way it is and you were right all along. And that is perfectly fine. All that I am and was trying to say through this example and the example in my previous video is that people need to make sure.
So, do I need to make sure that the African god Bumba isn't going to strike me down with lightning unless I do the Bumba dance by my 60th birthday? Do I need to make sure that a great white shark isn't going to jump out of the freshwater lake and eat me as I go water skiing? Of course not. All I need to have is no evidence in favor of those ideas in order to validly dismiss them. The evidence for my English paper being badly worded is popular opinion, because that's how language works. But what is the evidence for God or Zeus or Thor, etc.? That is to say, what reason do I have for reevaluating my atheism? Popular belief should not compel me to do so, as I've demonstrated in this video and my previous video to MinistryMan. So once again, it all comes back to evidence. No evidence against me equals no reason to believe I'm wrong. That's basically it. So yeah, thanks for watching.